In this accounts receivable video, I'm going to take it one step further and I want to discuss the standard against the audit method. Now I've created another account here with some fresh entries for Smithville Realty. Previously I showed you entries being recorded against the standard method. Now I'm going to show you what happens if I change that to audit. I'm going to change it to audit. Audit means more work. I'm going to jump in. The audit method, when you change it, changes it to all of your accounts receivables. All your accounts receivables are now using the audit method. I'm going to click on Smithville Realty. I'm going to select the account. Okay, I'm going to send an invoice. So I'm going to mark this that I've sent an invoice. I'm going to create the invoice. Create an invoice, yes, sales tax is included. So I want it recorded that I've sent an invoice. Okay, so I've sent an invoice to this client. This is a real estate that this particular person does some work for. At the end of the month, it comes back and I've sent the invoice. They've come back and they've now paid the invoice. Now look what happens. On the right side of the account previously, when we did the standard method, we had to enter this in manually, if you remember rightly. If I click marked as received, it does something completely different on the audit method, and I'm going to show you that. If I mark this as received, marked it received, yes, it does the same thing, but look over here. It's doubled that entry up on the right side of the account for us. It's put it over there. I'll explain why. So it's marked all three there. So I'm going to come over here and I can now record each individual entry as having been received and how what invoice they were paid for. Why would I do that? Okay, let's say, assuming, for example, let's remove this here. See, it won't let me remove that now. If I've done this already, I can't turn it off. I can't remove that until I remove it from this side of the account, because it's saying, are you sure you want to do that? Because you've marked it previously as being paid yes. Remember, the audit method's more work. I'm going to remove this bit here for a minute. Let's assume that this particular customer did not pay. See, it removed that automatically then for us. Let's say he paid for this. For some reason they're disputing this amount here. They might say, well, look, I wasn't going to pay $60 for that repairs. I wanted to pay no more than 50, and you might be disputing and say, hey, you know, you didn't tell me there was a figure on it. It cost $60. I want you to pay $60. So they might have to try to get more money out of the owner. Now, what this allows you to do is this. It allows you to come over here and record the individual amounts on the individual invoices as they were paid. So if suddenly this guy turns up and says, yes, I'll pay this now, but I want another invoice, you can create another invoice for the month. And when it's recorded, it gets recorded on another invoice number over here. Now, is it a lot of doubling up? Yes, it is a lot of doubling up. However, if you've got a lot of activity going on, you might want to record everything individually. Money coming in, money coming out in your accounts receivable. This way you can come back at a later date and you can really look at your accounts. You can see that you've received the money. You can come over here. You can see how you received it, everything else. What invoice it was against. You're doubling up each individual entry. Now, for accounts receivable, it's not something that I can see that is absolutely necessary. It's your accounts. I mean, you pretty well know that if you've received the money, you've marked it yes. Why are you going to double up over here? I don't know. Easy As have put the audit method in the accounts receivable because they actually had the audit method also in the accounts payable. So they thought, look, we'll just shove it in the accounts receivable as well. If someone finds it useful, they use it. Me, if I was using accounts receivable, I would not even do that. I would use the standard method because to me it's more work. However, if it's useful, use it. Just remember that then you have to record each individual entry and you have to send each individual entry to income. See, we might have received a check from this guy for $100, right? The total's $100 from the real estate. But you have to now send each individual entry. You can't send it to income as one amount, and I'll show you. So say that was for invoice number 5006. We know it was for 5006. We received a check on this particular date here. Let's say it was the 20th of July, right? We received a check on the 20th of July. And it says add it to income. So we're going to, so there was an invoice. Actually, there was an invoice, wasn't it? So what was the invoice? 5006. So we're going to record it against the invoice. So I'm going to do that first. 5006. Select my accounts receivable. That's the invoice. The date box needs to be moved, doesn't it? Need to do something about that. That's the invoice there. And payment received, yes. Add to income. And we know that it's not the full amount, so we need to add it down here. Whatever the 55. Oh, was it 55 bucks? Must have been. It must be coming up automatically for us. I'll check that in a minute. Oh, it probably is. So that's come up automatically, folks. $55. I click done. Print the receipt. No, let's have a look at that. Oh, it did. It brought that over for us. Well, that was good. I didn't even know it was going to do that. So it brought that $55 over for us. So now you can see we have to record each individual entry. So it's extra work. Audit method means extra work, but it's more accountability. You get hands-on. You can account for everything every step along the way. More applicable with accounts payable, I think, this audit method. Now, you might have noticed if you have 20 entries here and you've got to do this 20 times, that's a lot of work. But what they've done is this. The moment you enter something here, it records it up here. It records the last entry you enter. So now if I double click on this line, it's going to put that figure here. And we know that that's the actual figure from this invoice. So you see that's going to speed it up a bit. So if you have 100 entries, you do have to do this each time. And you know there's nothing speeding up about this. But it allows you to record that. Like I said, for accounts receivable, the audit method I don't think is very relevant. Okay, so that's done. So you've seen the accounts receivable in action with the audit method. Use it, take it, leave it, whatever you choose. If it's me, I wouldn't use the audit method at all. Okay, but it is there. If it's relevant for your business, of course, use it. Each individual business is different. This software is now being used in 25 countries worldwide, and the amount of businesses and industries it's being used in far beyond anything anyone ever imagined. And I know for certain that there are going to be people who are using the accounts receivable audit method in their business. I don't know what the scenario would be. If it's useful, use it. Even though I think it's, myself personally, I think it's a lot of rubbish. I wouldn't use it, but you might. So don't listen to me. You use and do what is relevant for your business. That is the whole scope of it, folks. I think I've explained the accounts receivable in enough detail. I don't think there's anything else I need to explain. Accounts receivable is something that you just need to play with. I suggest that if it's a little bit confusing and you're still not quite sure how you want to use it, go ahead and set yourself up a dummy business. You know, you can use 5 business profiles, and if you don't have 5 businesses on the go, a lot of entrepreneurs might have 2 or 3 on the go. Set up another business profile and use that as a dummy set of accounts and go and play with it for a bit and see you can set that up quite easily. On this screen here, you can set yourself up another dummy profile. Select the one at the bottom there and put it down the bottom if you want. And go up and set up a dummy set of business and just mess around with the accounts receivables and see how you can make it work for you. See how that is relevant for your business, and that's what I would do first. Before you mess around setting up an accounts receivable for yourself, I think it's more relevant to just mess around and play.